to say. I'm all wrapped up in apathy, and I don't want to stay this way.
Yo, Ren here with the next installment in the 30 Things Challenge, which is going to be a touchy one for me to discuss. I don't really want to talk about it, but because it's really petty. But yes, so the dealio is that I'm supposed to talk about the hardest thing I've ever had to forgive. Now, I'm sure this is something that a lot of siblings can understand. I hope I'm not unique in this, but my brother and I hate each other, just to be blunt, and we've never gotten along. We're 2 years apart. I'm the older one, and we have nothing in common. We don't really get along all that well. And so, even though it's incredibly petty sounding and really selfish, I have to say the hardest thing that I've ever had to forgive is my parents for their decision to have a second child. There, I've said it. As I said, it's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous, but it's how I feel. I mean, I guess I just grew up with a chip on my shoulder about that and about him. If we could have gotten along, I probably wouldn't resent him as much, but we've grown up competing for everything, for our parents' attention, for our teachers' attention in school, for awards, for contests, for anything you can think of, for who like gets the most ice cream. It's ridiculous. We really don't get along. We I don't know why I wasn't good enough. I guess it's the reason why it's so hard for me to forgive them for that is because it's like why did you need two? Like, uh, was I not good enough? Like, and as I said, this is if you're an older sibling and you don't get along with your younger sibling, I'm sure this is something that's crossed your mind before. Like, were we supposed to be friends? Like, why did you think I couldn't make friends of my own without a sibling tagging along? And it's like when you're a teenager and when you're an adolescent or whatever, 2 years is a big difference. So it's not like we were in the same emotional stage of development ever. And so it's just really, really hard for me to look at him without just wanting to throttle him and indirectly. And I've even addressed this with my parents before, and I know it really hurts them badly. And of course, it's horrible for me to say, but it's just like, I wish you hadn't had him because my life would be so much easier. Because the majority of the problems that I have with my parents, like the arguments we get into, stem from something that has happened with my brother. And so it's like, why? It really just comes back to why every single time. And they can't explain it. And my mom's even said, like, that if I or my brother were ever to have kids, we should probably just stick with one, which to me is her way of apologizing without saying that she is sorry. Because if she said she was sorry, that would mean she didn't love him as much as me. And obviously, if you're a parent, that's not the way that works. So it's just a really frustrating, awkward situation. And it is very, very difficult for me to be able to say that I'm okay with that and that I forgive them for making the mistake of thinking that they were bringing somebody else into the world to keep me company and entertained or whatever their reasoning was for doing it. I don't know. They planned on having him, so it was a conscious decision. It's not like it was an accident, which wouldn't have been something for me to forgive because it's like, no, no. They planned to have another kid at that time. Like 2 years after the first one, we're having another kid. So, yeah, that's, and as you can see, it's still a bit of a chip on my shoulder. But if and when I do finally completely get over it, it will be the hardest thing that I'll ever have to forgive. So, yes, at the risk of sounding petty, that is the epitome of the hardest thing I have to forgive is my brother, my little brother's existence on the earth and my parents' part in making that happen. I feel awkward saying like, "Oh, I love you," because that was such a spiteful little episode of that. But yes, so let's end this on a high note and do a big close up of my face. And there, so that's a little bit happier. Right, I'm just gonna do this. So I love you, and until I see you next time, bye bye.